Yo, everybody, what is up? It's the Tominator here, and I wanted to talk about the Arnold Classic Australia 2018 now that the whole thing is said and done. And in case you missed it, there's good news for you because you can still go on Generation Iron and watch the live stream. That's what I did this morning. So as of today, Saturday, March 17th, it is still online, available to be rewatched. They have the individual posing routines and the finals comparisons, plus the award ceremonies. So you get to be able to watch most of the show anyway. I think prejudging isn't there, but hey, whatever, man, it's good enough. So definitely check that out. I'm going to put a link in the description for you. So, in case you guys didn't hear by now, Roly Winkler ended up winning this competition, beating out the likes of Dexter Jackson and William Bonac once again, just as he did at the Prague Pro 2017 show. So, I'm definitely very happy for the guy. I'm glad to see this from him because it's a real milestone in his career to be able to win a competition of this magnitude, right? And I'm not too surprised, actually, given that he wasn't at 100% in the Arnold Classic in Ohio 2 weeks ago. So he definitely left room for improvement because he came in a little bit on the full side and he was holding a bit of water. And often when that happens, it enables these guys to shortly down the road kind of hone in and dry out. And sure enough, that's exactly what he did here, and he got a much-deserved win. Plus, look at this. He even got a laugh out of the governor. So the reason Arnold's cracking up here is because when he was presenting the first place prize to Roly, he was saying all the usual complimentary things about his physique looking fantastic, and his posing being improved, and his midsection being tighter and not bloated and that sort of thing. To which Roly responded that he said something like, "Yeah, Arnold, when you called me out for having a belly, it's all I could think about. So that's what I've been focusing on," and blah blah blah. So it was kind of a funny feel-good moment. And in case you guys don't remember, what he's alluding to here is the infamous bottle-shaped bodies remark that Arnold made after the 2015 Arnold Classic. And in case you don't remember, let me remind you that Roly Winkler was the worst offender at that time, man, because his midsection was all kinds of bloated, all kinds of pregnant looking. It was a friggin' beach ball, so it was just brutal. And he's really done an excellent job of trimming it back down in recent years. And I think that his midsection here in this competition was actually the best it's probably been since his early pro days. And he was carrying much less mass back then, so that is very impressive stuff. Now, here is the official scorecard, and if you look down the list to the 12th competitor, you see Roly Winkler's name. You can see his total score of 18. So, just as a reminder, it's like golf, guys. So the lower your score, the better it is. Typically, a score of 15 is a perfect score because usually they break it up into 3 rounds like they are here, and 5 is the lowest score you can get for each individual round. Therefore, 15 is a perfect score for the overall competition. So Roly just narrowly missed out on getting a perfect score here. So it was a very decisive win, even more decisive than William Bonac's win over Dexter Jackson at the Arnold Classic in Ohio. So, I'm kind of surprised actually to see Bonac such a distant second, because I think that when we go through the poses, and we will in a second, I think that Bonac actually fared pretty well against Roly in a lot of them, and I think he actually beat him in a couple. So I'm not too sure about that. But again, I'm judging from, as you'll see, the picture quality is just not the best. So, maybe I'm just not missing or not catching those finer details on Roly's physique. And yeah, there's Dexter Jackson in third place. Again, a distant third, and I think rightfully so. I don't think he was as good as he was 2 weeks ago, even though his midsection was better. Overall, I think he was not as sharp. And you'll notice also some missing names. There was 3 guys that I thought were going to compete. I thought Cedric would be here again. I thought Lionel Bayaki and Steve Kukla would be there again, until about 2 days ago when I saw an update on somebody else's channel saying that those latter 2 guys weren't going to be here. But I hadn't heard anything about Cedric not being here, so kind of interesting. Like, these guys' names were on the list of official competitors just like a couple days ago, so not sure what's going on there. But either way, those were your top 3 guys, and it enabled certain other guys, like, where is he? Lucas Osladil, to come and bump all the way up to 4th. Usually that guy's in the second call-out, closer to like 10th, but as you can see, the lineup's not as deep this time around, so he was able to move way up. So anyway, let's move on. Here's a front relaxed comparison, and you'll notice that some pictures that I have here are taken from a lower angle You can see the light really reflecting off these guys more, so it's kind of more like saturated or whatever. I'm no photographer. You guys tell me, but it's definitely brighter. And these photos were actually apparently taken by Milos Sarcev. That's what the site where I got them said. So Milos Sarcev is the trainer for Hide Yamagishi, the guy at the bottom there who ended up in 5th. But he also took a bunch of photos of the top 3 as well, so this is from the finals. And yeah, you can see Dexter there on the left, just not really looking like his usual self. He just doesn't seem as sharp as usual. And that'll be consistent throughout the rest of these poses. So Bonac and Roly were definitely kind of in a 2-horse race here, I think. Apparently the judges had Roly firmly in first, but from where I'm looking at these pictures and stuff, I think that Bonac probably did give Roly more of a run for his money than the scorecard gives him credit for. But anyway, I'm not saying that Roly didn't deserve it, because he did. So in the front double bicep here, you can see Roly looking just like a beast over there. His massive arms and shoulders just really draw your eye. Also through the quads, he's very dialed in there. Great separation, much better than usual. And I think he's actually probably got better separation in his quads than Bonac when he's fully flexing. However, I still give Bonac the edge in the lower body, and I still think Bonac's biceps probably look more impressive than Roly's because they're just a little bit peakier. But other than that, I think Roly is winning this pose. Dexter over here, there's something very interesting going on with his left arm. I mean, do you guys notice this? Look how much smoother it looks compared to this one. There's no separation here like there is in his right arm. And to me, and it could just be a bad picture, but it looks like synthol. It's got like telltale signs of smoothness and just kind of almost oily lumpiness. You can see it almost through the skin. It just looks funny. It looks like Rich Piana's arm with a better tricep sweep. You know what I'm saying? So something is a little bit fishy going on here. Also, the size discrepancy is not really as apparent anymore. This left arm looks pretty much the same size now as the right, which we all know is not the case anymore. I mean, I made videos about it like weeks ago. Louis Marcos made videos about it. Now everybody knows that Dexter's left arm is not the same size as his right anymore. So I think maybe what was happening is perhaps he heard the criticism and tried to compensate for it by injecting something in here. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of sight enhancement. Maybe not synthol, but one of those types of oils that's not natural muscle, because it doesn't look right. It looks funny. So could just be the photo though, so we'll go through some more though, and you'll see. I did watch his posing routine, and it looked fine. It wasn't as noticeable, so I don't know, man. You guys tell me in the comments what you think. So here again, you can see kind of the lack of separation, but it's kind of dark here in the background, so we don't really see it as well. But again, like Dexter's, I think pretty clearly in 3rd here, and this is one of his better poses still. But compared to these guys, he just doesn't look as sharp, right? And certainly in the lower body, he's coming in last. Now, again, Bonac looks great. So these darker pictures here are actually from the live stream. I took little screenshots as it was playing, because as soon as you pause it, it puts like a stupid play button in the middle. It would probably be like right on Roly's dick, so it would look really stupid. So I just kind of snapped the screenshot as the thing was playing, so it might not be the best quality, but I still think it's better than a lot of the pictures that are out there at this point, because it seems like most of the photos and videos surfacing for this event right now are taken on like cell phones by people in the crowd. It's just garbage. There's no real good quality photos that I've been able to come across as of yet. So please let me know in the comments again if you guys find any good sites, any good pictures or video footage of this, and maybe I'll do another video on it, because it's really hard to judge based on such kind of crappy photos. And in the front lat spread, speaking of crappy, this is a pose where all these guys kind of suck. I mean, let's be real here, guys. It's just not a pose that looks really good on any of them. So that being said, I think Roly looks probably the best of the bunch, but it's not like, I don't think he looks that good himself in it. I think he's okay. You know, it's passable, but it's definitely not like an elite front lat spread by any means, right? I will give him props for this leg here that he's tensing. It looks amazing. But overall, I still prefer Bonac's lower body because he has better quad sweep. I think just better shape overall in the legs. But upstairs, I would give the edge to Roly, just by a bit though. But, you know, let's move on. It's just not a good pose for anybody right here. The side chest is one in which I think Bonac actually pulls ahead. I just like the way he hits it more. I think he looks the most polished from head to toe. I think his side leg is better than Roly's and Dexter's here in this show. Roly does have the crazy hamstring sweep, but Bonac's just looks sharper. The groove between his quad and his hamstring is deeper. And I just think even his calves look a little bit better than Roly's. So I'd give him the lower body. I think he's presenting his upper body a lot better than Roly is. This is still a pose where I think Roly needs to work on because I think his shoulders are tilted too much. It's too lopsided. It looks a little funny. I mean, yes, your near shoulder is supposed to dip a little bit. Like you can see that with Dexter. You can see it with Bonac, but not to this extent. This is like a diagonal side chest. It's pretty weird. But I will give him props for the massive thickness through the delts. Look at his rear delt. It's ridiculous. And the triceps look sensational, as we might expect. And even the striations through the pecs is a nice touch with the thickness, man. So he's a beast, but he's just not presenting that well. So I would give it to Bonac for that reason. But on the other hand, Bonac, you could say, is kind of turning and opening up a little bit too much. It's almost like a front chest pose with him. And so he's not showcasing the thickness through the pecs as much as he could be, but he still looks better, I think. And Dexter, the reason I would have him in last is mostly the protruding midsection, but he also just looks a little faded too. Like he doesn't have his usual sharpness, especially downstairs. The only part of his body that looks like it's coming to life at all is kind of his shoulder and his arm a little bit, but no striations through the pecs, so definitely last on this one. Here's another look in that brighter lighting courtesy of Milos, and yeah, I think they all fare better now. Maybe it's the close-up, maybe it's the lower angle, or what have you, but either way, I think Roly comes closer now to Bonac. You can see his edge and thickness through the pecs, the delts, and the arms is just undeniable. He's smoking William when it comes to muscularity in this pose. But again, I just feel like Bonac's hitting the pose a little bit better, and his lower body edges him out. In the back double bicep, this is a pose that's always been notoriously weak for Roly Winkler because his lower back just kind of sucks in this one. It's almost non-existent. There's no real thickness to be seen through the lower lats, no detail or density through the spinal erectors. I feel like Roly could probably benefit from doing a lot of rack pulls or deadlifts or something to bring this element up, man, because it's the chink in his armor, and it's going to probably, I hate to say it, it's going to prevent him from ever winning a Mr. Olympia. You're not going to win a Mr. Olympia with a back double bicep like this. It's just not going to cut it, okay? Especially against the likes of a Phil Heath or William Bonac even. Big Ramy's really making strides in his back as well. So it's not going to happen for Roly unless he can really bring this part up. Even the upper back, it's good. He's got thickness, but it could use a little more detail. I mean, I think Bonac's got that. I think Dexter's got that. So I would put Roly in last, Dexter in second, William in first, because William is the most balanced, the most fully developed and complete from head to toe, hands down, in the lower body as well. The glutes are dialed in, hamstrings too. He's got calves. He's even showing some quad sweep, which is nice. So yeah, man. Roly, it looks like he's not even tensing his hams and his glutes at all in this pose. So it could just be a bad moment that I took the screenshot, but even still, you should never relax to this degree when you're in a pose. There's just no excuses. The one good thing is look at his calf, man. It's amazing. It's like a perfect heart shape. So very well-developed calves on Roly Winkler. I don't think he gets enough credit for his calves. Here's the rear lat spread. And again, I gave this one to Dexter 2 weeks ago, and I'm probably going to go with him again on this one. I think this is probably the best pose for Dexter against this group because he's got the best taper of the bunch. Again, when we go downstairs, William's winning, but upstairs he just looks a little bit squat. His taper is just not as evident, and we don't see the same level of detail through the center of his back as we do with Dexter or even with Roly. And Roly's lower lats here look actually better. A lot better than they did in the back double. It's very interesting. His traps always look kind of funny to me here, though. They're very wide compared to Dexter's, which just look nicer and cleaner. And Roly's back here, it doesn't look as wide. You might be thinking it's a little narrow, and the reason for that is I noticed when he first hit the pose, initially, for the first second or two, he flared out wider. It was more open. But then, for whatever reason, it seemed to just kind of shrink back a little bit. And that's what we see here is we're not seeing the full width because when we look at this shot right here, you can see it Roly at his peak in this pose. And I think when he does that, The width is kind of overpowering. He's matching, if not beating, these guys in terms of the width, and his detail's all there. You could probably give him the win in this pose, although it's very close between all three of them. I think they all look excellent in the rear lat spread as opposed to the front. This is each one of their better poses, I would say. In the side tricep, you guys know me, man. You know that I love William Bonac and the way he hits this one. It's just so aesthetic. It's amazing. It's like a throwback to the 80s or the golden era even, with this positioning of his, of his rear leg showing off the calf, the way he's leaning back. So elegant looking, so nice. The arm looks tremendous. That said, I would probably give it to Roly just because he's got the edge in the mass and the conditioning. Look at all the striations through his pecs. Look at his delts and his massive traps, let alone the best triceps in the world. These things are just, these ain't horseshoes anymore. These are like elephant shoes at this point, man, because they're so meaty. They're just bigger than anybody else's triceps in history. So pretty hard to go wrong with the man with the best triceps in history in the side triceps pose, right? Midsection is also dialed in. Legs could be a little sharper. That's my only complaint. I think William still beats him in the lower body. But upstairs, I think Roly probably edges him out, man. And Dexter is just a distant third again. I mean, his arm looks really crappy when he hits the pose this way. I'm not sure why he does it. But then again, I guess it's at least he's keeping his midsection tight. So, but he's obviously in third. In the ab and thigh, I think that this is where things kind of go south for Bonac because his abs just aren't very good. And that's really my biggest complaint about his physique is that his midsection is just not cutting it. There's almost no definition through the abdominals. His legs are great, of course, but upstairs there's just nothing too impressive about this pose for him. Compared to Roly Winkler, who's actually, believe it or not, has the tightest midsection of the three of them. And he's the biggest guy, man. Now, it might not look like his midsection is as tight as Dexter's here, but when you watch the actual video, it becomes apparent that Roly is winning the ab and thigh pose hands down, man. And I never thought I'd see the day when he beat someone like Dexter Jackson in the Blade in this one, because this has been Dexter's bread and butter for like the majority of his career, man. He's just put people away with this one because say what you will about his legs not being the best, and I would agree with you there, but when it comes to the midsection, man, this guy was unparalleled for a while. I mean, he had the best six-pack in bodybuilding for a number of years there. And now that his stomach's deflated a little bit from the Arnold Classic in the USA, he does look a little bit better than he did, and we're not seeing it protrude as much, but it's still not vintage Dexter Jackson. But he does still have a nice taper through the lats, and a lot of people complain about his midsection looking like a tortoise shell or a turtle shell, and I can definitely see it with that oval shape that it has. It's very unique, we can say that. And I can see why some people wouldn't like it, but me personally, I always thought that as long as he's not distended, I really do like his midsection because he's got a perfect six-pack. It's just so symmetrical and well-defined. But still, I'm going with Roly on this one 100%. Even if you give the edge to Dexter through the midsection, because his abs are nicer than Roly's still, just genetically, but Roly's beating him on the legs, and that's undeniable. In the most muscular, it was really tough to find a moment when these guys were all hitting it simultaneously. This was the best I could do. So we got Dexter and Bonac on the outsides hitting the crab, and Roly in the middle, kind of transitioning into that whatever you want to call it. It's not really a hands clasp, but it's kind of in between that and a crab. It's one of his signature poses, and he looks like a friggin' beast in it. And look at the friggin' deltoids, man, just mountainous. These things are boulders, just like twice the size of Dexter's and Bonac's, man. It's crazy. But still, I gotta give it to William Bonac, guys. And let's take a look here. Here's a close-up of the two of them hitting it. And I think it's pretty clear that William Bonac is beating him, even though Roly's bigger through the delts and probably the traps and the triceps, which, admittedly don't count for that much and from this angle. But look at William's chest compared to Roly's. I mean, come on. This is like night and day. Look at all the striations. Look at the fullness. These things are just coming at you like a 3D pop-out book, man. And his biceps as well, I think, are better than Roly's because they're peakier. You could say even his forearms might be better than Roly's in this picture here. And the legs, certainly. He's got better sweep. And I think he's just taken a more favorable stance to show off the width that Roly's kind of look a little bit narrow compared to this. But I would definitely give it to Bonac, man, and the most muscular. But that's that, guys. That's my little review of the 2018 Arnold Classic in Australia. I was really just focusing on the top 3 guys, so I'll probably make other videos covering Kevin Levroni's comeback and the second showing of Dennis Wolf and some of these other guys as well. But that's all for this one, so hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Like I said, if you guys can find any better footage or videos or pictures or whatever that I can judge from, please direct me to it, because I'd love to get a better look myself at this show. But until next time, I'm the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.